Hello again, everyone. Thank you for joining us. This is our last session, part 3 on FGM and male engagement. And we are continuing with Reverend Moses. I think we will all agree that we have learned a lot from the past 2 series that we had, starting from how he began his activism. And 20 years later, he's still very involved, from the community to the young people to the church, which was part 2. I think really what we have learned from this is that everyone needs to get involved. This is a conversation for everybody. So today we're going to touch on what Reverend Moses has spoken to about briefly, which is about his writing. He has written a lot on female genital mutilation because he believes that we should use different approaches, which he says it's a holistic approach in addressing issues around the FGM. So today we're going to talk about his writing. He's going to tell us about what inspired him and how everything is going. So to start off the conversation, Reverend, can you just about what inspired you to start writing, and as well as what have you seen? What impact has this writing had so far? Thank you.
Hi, listeners and viewers to this other segment of our series. Thank you very much, Tabile, for having time all this moment. The issue about what inspired me on writing on female genital mutilation is born out of the fact that FGM is maintained by two main issues: the issue of fear and also ignorance. Key of the two is ignorance. And what can replace ignorance is education. Education can come in various forms, but I choose to do writings, developing messages, and targeting special people to communicate these messages. So when I started the campaign with the issue of ignorance in my mind, I went straight away to writing various books and also workshops manual. First I did is to write what are called campaign messages for traditional religious and political leaders, Soweys, parents, and also girls who have received female genital mutilation and those who have not received. Those messages were drawn from biblical references, since my first target group was the church. So I was able to develop those messages based on Bible, and the messages were used in as Sunday school material for the church. After that particular book, which was printed and distributed in the church, I also developed what I call 100 questions and answers. And this one primarily targeted girls who have not received female genital mutilation. This has to do with some critical questions that people ask about FGM, and I was able to provide the answers for them. Again, that one laid a very strong foundation for the girls to understand the issue of FGM and all other issues related to the practice itself. And after these first two books that came out, I now embark on providing the kind of education people needed through workshops, mainly through workshops. And I developed various manuals that has to do with, for example, changing the mindset of people on FGM. Again, the mindset is critical, since people have developed a kind of mindset over thousands of years on the issue of FGM, and this one cannot be changed overnight. It needs time. So I developed that manual, and it is also being used by it is what I am using in my workshop. Apart from that one, also I developed a manual known as Promoting Congregational Approach to End FGM. This one again has to do with the church and also with other religious organizations, for example, Islam. You know, I tried to develop a kind of strategies that the church, but particularly the church, can use, you know, in terms of preaching, teaching, you know, developing skits, developing songs, you know, these various approaches the church can use to communicate the messages in a friendly way in the church. So that one also is one of the manuals I developed. Again, I now went ahead and also developed a manual known as the Linking FGM from the Bible. That one is also very important. The issue about FGM in our own context is linked with female circumcision, which is also drawn from the Bible. And so as far as people here are concerned, you know, they see a link between FGM and female circumcision. And so they want to justify the act of FGM based on what the Bible said also about male circumcision. And this is the reason why we have many Christians practicing it ignorantly. So the manual help Christians and religious leaders to know that FGM and male circumcision is not the same. And we also try to justify the claim that I made in that particular manual. Then also I did the gendering FGM, a male engagement manual. That one primarily targets men. You know, men need to understand the gender perspective of FGM. That is how it is being perpetrated by men and how it also affects men. And so that one also is a useful tool for the campaign. Then by 2020, I published my first book known as The Path to Womanhood. That book is written in a letter form, you know, from a mother to her daughter. The mother is Yeli and the daughter is Fetanda. And so what Yeli tried to do in that particular book is to give a balanced education about FGM and the Bondo Society, the social institution that perpetrates FGM here in Sierra Leone, so that, I mean, Fetanda can have an informed choice to make, you know, as a woman coming from a FGM practicing culture, and it being culturally sensitive, she was able to give the kind of balanced information, because what is happening here in Sierra Leone, there's a one-sided information about FGM, and that one is what they think is the good part. And that is what is moving young girls to go for the practice. So what I did in that book is to create a kind of balanced information for girls to read and have an informed choice whether to take it or not. And quite recently, like this one is written in a form of letter. So I have also completed the manuscript, which I have submitted now to my editor, you know, for future publication. The reply coming from Fetanda, because the book A Path to Womanhood is a letter, and so we are expecting the reply to come later on. So that reply has also been written in a form of what I call a safe model, a safe womanhood. So I am expecting that book also to come out very soon, maybe by the end of the year or early next year. It will be published. And so again, that will continue to give the kind of education girls also need, or the kind of choice this will make, whether to take FGM or to reject it. So basically, this is what I have done in the area of writing, developing materials that are not published, and also I have tried to publish one book. And of course, it is creating the kind of impact, you know, it was intended for.
Great. Thank you very much, Reverend, for your explanation on how you get into writing and what inspired you to write. Maybe I can just also attest that I read one of your writing, the Path to Womanhood. I mean, FGM was still a new concept to me. I had never heard of it except in the lecture hall when I was studying in Sweden. It was the first time that I heard of it. And then when I was in Sierra Leone, I was there to do my research on something else related to women. But after reading that book, which I couldn't put down because it gives you a clear picture of what FGM is in terms of even in terms of socially, financially, psychologically, and all the other factors that are involved in FGM. And it actually pushed me into understanding FGM better and wanting to be part of the campaign against FGM. So I would actually encourage people to get that book because it's written in an everyday language. It paints a picture beautifully. And I think in terms of changing people mindsets or changing people's way of looking at things, it also changed me as well because, as I said, I had never heard of it, and it was my first encounter through your book. So you say, what are you hoping to achieve? You mentioned that you're hoping to change the mindsets of different stakeholders, and as well as for the survivors or would-be survivors to have an informed concern towards it, because as I said, it's very clear. So maybe can you tell us maybe what exactly the impact that you have seen so far in the past 20 years with regards to FGM, with regards to your writing about FGM? Thanks.
Yes, let me first of all start even with the church. Today, there is a greater discussion in the church as a result of the work that I have started some 20 years ago, especially in the Wesleyan Church of Sierra Leone. You know, we are at a point, you know, they were using the book as Sunday school material, and also the women auxiliary group of the church. I also developed materials for them, which they were using also as Bible studies in the church. And so the first impact I can see in my own work over the years is the greater discussion. You know, it is no secret that before now, the church has not been speaking on the issues surrounding FGM. You know, so but with my campaign effort in my local congregation, I am proud to say that the Wesleyan Church is one of the lead denominations in the country that is campaigning against FGM in Sierra Leone. But apart from that, also as my dream grew stronger on the campaign effort and my passion grew stronger, I was looking for an opportunity where I can move from the church. And indeed, the opportunity came. You know, 5 years ago, I was able to engage the General Secretary of the Council of Churches in Sierra Leone. You know, I also spoke with her. She was the leader. I spoke with her, and like she too came to realize that the church has been silenced over the years, and so she asked me whether we can work together to start a campaign at that particular level. Now moving from one church to more than 18 church denominations in the country. And we succeeded in doing that. We worked together and we were able to have the project known as Community Education Campaign to End FGM in Sierra Leone, the church perspective. So I saw that with one denomination, I have moved on to the level of more than 18 denominations in the country working on the campaign against female genital mutilation. And so since then, the church continued to question the validity of FGM. And as it is today, there's open discussion especially in the church, religious leaders. I'm just coming from workshops where religious leaders were shocked to discover that they have not been doing their own responsibility, and now they should stand up and take action on the impact. With regards stakeholders, especially the SOWEs, those women who perform the FGM and traditional leaders, I've also seen a great impact in what I am doing. You know, in a way that it will surprise people to know that in the latest workshop I had with the SOWEs about 3 days ago, the SOWEs declared me as a member of the SOWE Council, you know, thinking about how I am respectful to their institution and the approach I am using. And so they were so shocked. You know, sometimes when we meet with SOWEs for the first 10, 20 minutes, it is a hot debate. But at the end of the workshop, you will see them, you know, accepting the issues that we discussed in that particular workshop. So, like, changing the mindset of people is the key element we need to work on in the campaign against FGM. It's not about fighting. It's not about telling them that they are demonic, or else. We need to do it in a way that is respectful. And when it is done in that way, I'm sure it will bring changes. With regards girls who stand the risk on FGM, I think they are also impacted greatly, especially with the book, A Path to Womanhood. Young people are ready to say no to FGM, especially our girls. When they know the truth, you know, the latest slogan that I had in a workshop, they say, if it is there, I am there. If it is not there, I am not there. Meaning, if the woman has not received FGM, I'm ready to go with her. If not, I am not there. So you see, there's this kind of slogan coming up among young people, you know, even referring the clitoris as a Bluetooth, which has a very strong network. And so there's great impact. Even among anti-FGM campaigners, I am seeing that the messaging is changing, because that is what I always tell them when we meet in workshops. We have to have a kind of passion, but that passion should go with love. You know, love for those who have been in this practice for over these years. We need to show them love. We need to understand their own situation and their context and help them to change. So basically, I can say I have impacted not only Sierra Leone. Again, let me just mention that we are, or my work is now taking the campaign efforts across borders, especially in the sub-region of the Minor River Union. I have went to Guinea to conduct workshops, and again, it was amazing to see how the church in those countries have been silenced, you know, on the issues of FGM. So I think I am going across borders in this way, and I hope to go even beyond the point where we are, because FGM is a serious issue for Sierra Leone and for our neighboring countries in in the sub-region and Africa as a whole.
Okay, thank you very much, Reverend Moses. I can see that definitely your writing is having major impact, and it's quite interesting to learn that you are also not just being, your work is not just being recognized in Sierra Leone, but even in the countries, neighboring countries, of which you also mentioned in another conversation, that it's not just Liberia, but Guinea as well. Those are some of the countries that you are working with. And I think you also mentioned something that is very important, mindset, and then the fact that it's also being somehow linked to religious practices, even though whenever, I think even when I was doing my research, there was no, whenever people were talking, were like, no, it has nothing to do with religion. but because you are working deeply with different people, different leaders, you are learning, you are also revealing other information that we don't really have. So maybe the last two questions that I'm going to ask you, the next one is, so what are your future plans with regards to your writing and your work in general in FGM? Maybe if you can just tell us briefly. Thank you.
We need to move forward and continue to impact a greater population for ending FGM. So in terms of my writing, I am working very hard to see how the book, A Path to Womanhood, can be introduced in schools as a literature. I remember when I was going to school, there was this book written by Guinean author Kamara Lai, the African child. That one revealed issues surrounding male rite of passage. And so this book also, as people are making complimentary comment, that the book is good for not only education for FGM, but also for literature. And so I am trying to work, with different educational stakeholders in the country to introduce the book to them and see whether it can be valuable for use in the schools. And again, apart from that, we have subject in our curriculum known as religious and moral education. I think we can also, that one aspect of FGM can be introduced in that particular subject, and also social studies, can also be introduced. The issue about FGM and the Bodo Society can be introduced to it to see how we can escalate the campaign to reach a greater population. Mind you, when you catch them young, you have greater impact. So if we can move the educational campaign to the school level in a way that we use some of these materials for the education of our girls, they may be able to know it early and have an informed consent.
Great. Yes, thank you very much. Yes, informed consent. I like that, because especially when it has to do with someone's body, their sexuality, they need to have right information. And definitely with FGM, as we are learning about the short-term and long-term impacts of FGM, it is indeed important for someone to be of the right age and to receive the right information to make a decision. And I think with regards to curriculum, I think that's very important. What you mentioned, we do hope that one day that will become a reality. So my last question then will be on, so what is your final message? You are writing, you are going out there, speaking, working with different organizations, speaking with all sectors of the communities. So what is your message as in what regarding FGM, as well as we are ending this 3-part series? What would you share with the world out there, and what kind of things maybe that we should be doing to support this activism, not just here in Africa and maybe internationally, because we know that FGM is now a cross-border issue. It's a global health issue, it's a public health issue, so everybody must get involved. So what is your message? Thank you.
My message will go to everyone who is listening and those who are not listening, to those who are campaigning against FGM, those who support, and those who are like the perpetrators and girls who stand at risk of FGM. So let me start with my colleague religious leaders. We need to come out. We need to speak out. We are the voice of the people. We are here, to do our history in terms of bringing social change. And so I am encouraging all of them to come out, to speak out, and to help educate our congregation on the issue of FGM. And to my those who are perpetrating the practice, especially the Sowe's and the traditional leaders. Traditional leaders should know that traditions are part of humanity, but there are harmful, good, and neutral tradition. FGM is one of the harmful tradition, and they should help to do away with it. And to the Sowe's, they should also know that FGM is a harmful traditional practice, and if they want to keep the Bondo society, which they think is also good part as a part of their cultural practice, that is good, but they should make frantic efforts to remove FGM as part of the rite of passage to womanhood, because FGM by no means it is a harmful practice. And to girls who stand at risk, girls at risk of FGM, those who have not received FGM, this is an opportunity for them to say no to FGM. Let them always yearn to attend workshops where they can receive education about FGM, and encourage their parents to buy them this book, A Path to Womanhood, so that they can read it personally. Of course, by reading it alone, they can have an informed choice to make. So these girls need the kind of information, a balanced information that will help them to say no to FGM. And to women and girls who have received FGM, I want to encourage them. For some of you, it is not your making. You were initiated and you received FGM even at a very tender age. And so we want to encourage all of you to cope with the emotional pain you are now going through, and also to join the campaign against FGM so that your children or your sisters may not go through what you went through. And to the greater organizations that are working on the campaign of FGM, I want to let you know that this campaign, somebody who's doing advocacy is not aggressive. Whatever we do, we must do it in love. Remember, this is a traditional practice that has been here for quite a long time. And so to change the people's mindset, it will take time, and we need to do it in love. And let us all work together. Whatever means you want to do, you want to join the advocacy, you want to support the means of advocacy, I think that one is a call for all of us. I'm sure together we can beat FGM in Africa and in Sierra Leone in particular. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Okay, Reverend Moses. Thank you very much. That was a very powerful message, Reverend Moses, that you ended on. I think you have just put the challenge out there that this is not a one-man fight indeed. And I like the fact that you are saying, you are acknowledging that it is a practice that has been there for a long time. So as we know that it takes a long time to remove something that has been attached to your upbringing, attached to you for such a long time. And yes, definitely we will get people getting upset and all of those things. But as you said, that it is the approach that we choose to use while addressing such issues that will cause us to see the results of one day having FGM being eradicated. And I just want to say that coming back to what I said at the beginning about people who are saying that men should not be involved in gender-based violence issues, I think Reverend Moses has gone ahead and proved to us that when people say that, that is not true. Everybody needs to get involved. Actually, men, we can even view them as our allies, you know, because they are part. For example, Reverend Moses grew up in a household where FGM was practiced, and at some point he was made to believe it was the right thing, and he supported it. But as he grew, as he became aware, as he started learning about what it is, he completely changing to a point where 20 years later he is sitting here talking to us, letting us know that FGM is not the way to go, and putting his life, because when he started, people were not talking the way he is talking right now. And he's putting the challenge to everyone, to all of us. And I think the ball is in everyone's court. You can do something to end female genital mutilation. Think about the impact that it has on young girls and women who are impacted for a long time. And I think that says a lot, and that we definitely need to be doing something. So this ends our three-part series. I hope you were able to watch all of them. If not, they are all there. You can go to our pages and just on LinkedIn, on Facebook, or on Twitter. You will see all these recordings. Just click on it just to follow up on the conversation. Obviously, we did not cover everything because we were very aware of the time. We didn't want to make it to the long series. There is more to it. So, or if you want, all you have to do is to send us messages on the social media pages if you want to speak more about what Reverend Moses is doing. He's the head of programs at the Village Rock, which is our community-based organization located in Makeni, in Sierra Leone. This is where we are working from. So we would love to hear you and what your thoughts were regarding this series. We're going to continue talking. This is not the end. We're going to talk about other issues that we come across in the communities that we work in. I would like to also invite you to have a look at the very last part of this series. You'll see the books that Reverend Moses has written, and you will also see the videos of the work that he's been doing. I mean, obviously, we haven't included everything, but the highlights. So he has done more, and we are very honored and privileged at the Village Rock to have him as head of our program because he guides us. He's very committed. He's very passionate about female genital mutilation. So that's all for now. We hope you will keep an eye on what we are doing at the Village Rock and our work. We are just operating on funds that are being supplied by our friends and family. So if you would like to contribute towards the work that we are doing, you are more than welcome to do so, and we would highly appreciate that. Thank you very much. This is the end of the three-part series. Thank you, and we look forward to your support.